Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Jay and welcome to the channel and welcome back to Jurassic World Evolution 2, where today we're going to be diving into the brand new early Cretaceous pack and the free update that's come with it. I believe it's update 1.0. I mean, it can't be anything earlier than that, can it? I assume it's update 3.1.0. Update 3.1.0? What? Free update 1.0, which has given us so much cool stuff. So first off, big thanks to Frontier for giving me a key for the DLC, which is a fantastic DLC, by the way. And as we go through today, you're going to hear my thoughts on it and just why I really think this is probably some of Frontier's best work in terms of like creature design and or modeling and texturing and just quality in general. It's fantastic. But also, the free update has given us an incredible amount of stuff. So much so that I feel comfortable starting up our first kind of long-term sandbox build, which I'm going to be calling Yosemite Emergent Biopark. We are returning to the Biopark series with an entirely new build, the first one in Jurassic World Evolution 2, and we're going to be starting it off with this control center that you're seeing on screen, which is going to be making use of some of the new assets that we got with this new free update. That being the Department of Fish and Wildlife assets. We got basically all these buildings that we were using in the campaign mode now free to use in Sandbox, and not only that, but they've given us loads of new assets with this to fill up kind of like buildings that maybe weren't already available in this style. So for example, we now have hotels in the Department of Fish and Wildlife style. They're not really hotels, of course, they're more like barracks or temporary accommodation, but they look fantastic nonetheless, and they really work really well to be kind of like alongside this pseudo airstrip that I'm building. Of course, it's very short for an airstrip. Maybe I'll elongate it in the future, but for now, we're stuck with a very short airstrip. But yeah, it looks really good. All this stuff looks fantastic, and it makes for an incredible control center over here. And I'm just using all these buildings. Of course, in Sandbox, you don't need a lot of them. You don't need like an expedition center, for example, but I think just putting them all here, it looks so good to just have a really well-populated control center. Here's the paleomedical facility and all that, and yeah, it looks really good. But alongside just these assets, the free update's given us a lot of other really good stuff. For example, we got a lot of quality of life changes. We now have great sandbox options, like we can choose the color grading of our maps. This is, by the way, using the Jurassic World Alpine color grade, which I think is the best for this kind of biome, for the Alpine biome, of course. But also we can turn off combat now in sandbox maps, which is going to be such a lifesaver in the long run, because we can finally really build the park that we want to without these kind of restrictions in place. And now we also have other items like Jurassic Park themed lagoons, aviaries, that sort of thing. New mechanics, of course, like aviary animals. The pterosaurs will now land on rocks as well as other things, so you can just put in a rock, orient it however you want, they'll land on it, which is really great. Like, it looks so realistic and really quite cool, I think. So big fan of that feature especially. And the DLC itself, and you'll see we're going to include two of the creatures today, two of the dinosaurs actually. In our park build today, we're going to be having a live section. I've actually recorded before I'm recording this section, so you'll see that later today. And the creatures are really, really good. Like, top of the line work by Frontier, and you'll hear more of my thoughts about the DLC itself later, but you know, suffice to say, it is really fantastic. Like, I was blown away by the quality of these animals, especially like, I was gonna say especially like one of the animals, but the thing is, all of them are really good. Like, I quite like all the different animals. The Chronosaurus especially is brilliant. I say especially again, but then it doesn't really, like, all of them are good. And all of them are really good. So yeah, you can just tell I'm excited about it, and I had a blast playing with these animals. You'll see, like I said, you'll see two of them later, and you'll hear more of my thoughts there. But another great feature, of course, that a lot of people have been talking about in the free update is that now we have access to all the campaign maps. And these were something I really wanted, because we had some great maps in there. The Pennsylvania map, of course, everyone's going to go nuts for. I love that map. Everyone does. It's such a great map with those autumnal trees and stuff. So good. And of course, because that map is now available, we're definitely going to be building in it in the future. But I decided to start with the final map of the game, Yosemite, because, like I said, just looking out over this park, the backdrop is really fantastic. There's waterfalls out there, mountains, it just all looks so good. Really pleased with this kind of backdrop here to start our first big park. And as you can see now, we are starting down here with the kind of the main street of our park. And of course, main streets are a very typical Jurassic World thing. You'll have seen me do one in the previous video where I built my version of Jurassic World 2015. But you know, it's a great kind of start to any sort of map, and I think this one works pretty well. In the future, I'd like to branch off from the main street style and start working on different kind of different layouts and different elements to really create some more unique parks. And I think one of the things I want to do is to create a research-based park, because we have all these amazing research-style buildings like the DFW ones, and also some of the more utilitarian Jurassic Park ones. So really looking forward to when we can kind of explore that a bit. I always find it tricky to integrate these final two paths with the Innovation Center. Those two paths are always incredibly tricky to work with because they don't necessarily line up super well with anything else. So I end up finding a way for it later, but yeah. I'm not going to do too much crazy path work in this episode, but you know, let me know if you want to see more interesting path work and stuff in the future, or whether you want me to focus on habitats, anything you want me to talk about as we go forward. Of course, let me know in the comments. Do you want to hear more of my process when I'm building like layouts like this, or maybe you rather I talk about the animals, or you know, let me know. It's very much all still up in the air, and I'm very happy to like kind of change it or as I go along and talk about different things, because there's a lot to talk about here really. Like the species are very cool, of course. And you know what, I will talk a little bit about species now before we get into the live play, because we'll look at those species there, but we're not going to talk about them too much. But of course, today we're going to be including two of the dinosaurs in the new pack. We're going to be including Wuerhosaurus and Minmi, or Minmi as some people say. I'm going to say Minmi because it sounds cuter. But yeah, Minmi, of course, small ankylosaurid from Australia, if I'm not mistaken. Is Minmi from Australia? I'm going to double check that because I think Minmi is from Australia, but I'm not actually that sure. But if it is, of course, a very small ankylosaurid. Yes, it is from Australia, actually. And it's quite a small ankylosaurid, and it fits a niche that we don't really have in the game, in the sense that it's not really... It looks like a cross between... kind of a halfway point between an ankylosaur and a nodosaur. And at one point, Minmi was actually... And if I'm not mistaken, because I remember reading this in a dinosaur encyclopedia as a kid, Minmi was once noted to have the shortest name of any dinosaur. That has long been beaten by several other species, most notably the current shortest name of any dinosaur, and in fact, out of any organism, is Yi Chi, which is a Chinese theropod had like membranous wings. It's bonkers. I wrote a whole essay about that once. Super cool dinosaur, but not Minmi. Minmi used to have no, Minmi's cool too. Ignore what I just said, but I just got my words crossed. But Minmi is super interesting ankylosaur, very small, very like turtley. And there's actually, I remember there's another ankylosaur that was found not long ago that people suggested could have been semi-aquatic and lived a little bit like a turtle. I don't know if that was debunked or not, but I can't remember for the life of me what that was called. But that was super interesting as well. But it's nice to have an ankylosaur that's in a little bit of a different niche. And of course, Wuerhosaurus is a stegosaur, quite a large stegosaur. I think the second largest in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yes, no, I remember the turtle ankylosaur. It was called Liaoningosaurus. And that's the one that people thought looked a little bit like a turtle. And it's still very much up in the air. Nobody seems to be... Like, nobody agrees on whether it was semi-aquatic. That would have been super interesting, actually. Like, if it ate fish and stuff. Oh, that would have been just fascinating. Why do I keep diverting to other dinosaurs when I'm trying to talk about this one? But yeah, Wuerhosaurus as well. Very interesting stegosaur. Of course, distinctive because of those large dorsal plates. In a lot of old reconstructions, those were a lot flatter, but now we think they're much more round in nature. And at some point, I think people a while ago actually thought that they might be the same species as Stegosaurus. They're the most closely related to Stegosaurus out of all the other stegosaurs, and they're one of the last stegosaurs as well. So these are really at the point where the Jurassic was transitioning into the Cretaceous, and they were some of the last ones out there. So really, really late living stegosaurs, but the game really portrays them in a really cool way. And one of the things I like about this pack is that all the creatures are quite close to being scientifically accurate, which is really nice. The Sangoraptorus, of course, could do with some fuzz, for example, and maybe some proportion changes, but otherwise all the other creatures are really quite good. Like, all the speculation that's been done is really reasonable, well thought out, and aesthetically very cool speculation. So I'm hugely pleased with this pack and the animals. And of course, like I said, we'll talk a lot more about them as we go forward. Not much more to do here with the high street, we're just including some plants. I love these kind of tall cedar, redwoodish kind of trees. They look quite cool. And of course loads of picnic tables, because they're just the best decoration to put on. If you can't think of a decoration to put down picnic tables, and it looks really good. Because of course your guests are going to need places to sit down. Like I mentioned in the previous video, I really hope we get more decorations as we go forward in the game, because benches and things like that would be really fantastic to have. So here you see me start work on the two habitats that we're going to have. One's going to be a bit larger, one's going to be a bit smaller. I'm using the Department of Fish and Wildlife fences because I like the yellow accent on them. And they also just look quite cool as fences. I'm going to stick to kind of geometric angles here. I'm not going to really have any curved fences, just because it keeps the park looking a bit more neat. And you may notice on screen what I do is I put a little nub of fence out from one, and that creates a 45-degree angle that you can then take the next fence off, so it's much more easier to work with. And if that's still a bit confusing and you don't fully understand what I'm doing there, feel free to let me know, and I'll do a version of it in the live play to explain it in a bit more depth. Also, let me know if you'd like any tutorials. I don't know if there's much tutorial work I can really provide for this game, because a lot of my specialties lie more on the creative side of things rather than management. But I mean, if you would like to see some of that, please do let me know. I'm more than happy to maybe look into doing that. I do have a little bit of free time at the moment until January when I go back into work. So I do have some time to maybe spend working on tutorials and stuff like that. Once again, doing that kind of cluster technique with the rocks that you will have seen me do in previous Sandbox builds in the past two videos. And then putting in foliage in the middle of it just to make it look quite nice. I really like putting the foliage in the middle because it really sprouts out quite nicely and looks like really realistic. It just works really well. I'm loving the foliage in this biome, by the way, so good. I think as much as I like the other biomes, the Alpine and Taiga might be my favorite in this game. Like, Temperate's cool, but Alpine and Taiga are just so unique. I think that it really kind of sells it for me, so I'm a huge fan of this. But anyways, we're coming up to the end now. I'll just do some very quick work on this much smaller habitat, which is going to be for the Minmi. And then we're going to basically hop into the live play and finish things up. And then, yeah. So, with all that being said, Okay everyone, so here we are in the game. And as you can see, we have our two finished habitats here. I'm not sure what I'm going to put in these yet. Of course, we have the new DLC animals now, which is what I wanted to have a look at. And so I thought one of them we're going to do today is probably the Minmi for sure. And then, of course, the other habitat animal would be the Wuerhosaurus. I'm still not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't think anyone does. I think it's pronounced Wuerhosaurus. So we're going to be including that, I think. So there's two habitats here. Minmi is super tiny, so I think they'll fit perfectly fine in this habitat here. And then we'll put in some Wuerhosaurus over here. And it'll be perfect starter animals for our beautiful new Yosemite park. I am loving all the new stuff we've got with the free update and the DLC. The free update really packed in so many great quality of life things. One of the things I'm really enjoying is the randomization of the buildings and the new buildings that we're getting, the DFW buildings, which I've used to create the control center over here with the little pseudo runway. Now I think about it, that's a very short runway, but you know, we work with what we've got. One of the other maps actually comes with a pre-built runway, which looks so cool, which is the Pennsylvania map. You'll have seen that on my campaign playthrough if you watched that, and we'll definitely build on that map in the future. But right now, when it's just come out, I think everyone's going to run for that map, and I think it's such a cool map, so I don't blame them at all. But I'd much rather wait a little bit, and I've really wanted to build on Yosemite for quite a while. And honestly, now we've got all these buildings, it feels perfect for here. I've got a viewing platform as a pseudo control tower. Planes can come in here, resupply the control center over here with all whatever they need. I think it turned out looking pretty good. I love that these things are called hotels, even though, you know, they're obviously like very utilitarian, just accommodation for like people out in the wilderness and stuff. But it works so well for this control center for the park. So I think this entire area is just fantastic. I love these buildings, really great. And I think it'll be great for us if we do in the future decide to go for research facilities as opposed to full-on parks. This set will prove to be tremendously useful. But yeah, let's hatch some Minmi then. So we've got the Minmi here, and I've done some modification already. What I'm going to be... Oh, actually, I didn't save it. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove all these traits just to make sure that they're quite healthy. And what we're going to do is going to bump up their humbleness, which means they're going to need less space. And if it's going to be like that one there, I really like that base skin. So I'm not going to change the... Oh, actually, these all look... This is really cool, by the way. I love the new way we can actually view it via this thing. It's really good. I think we're going to keep the skin color Salar del Vasco, and then we're going to change the pattern to random. And by the way, just fun fact, I had a look at what all these mean. These are all genuses of frog, actually, which is quite cool. Really fits in well with the whole, you know, using frog DNA to fill in the gaps or to create all these new colors. And it's very much based in real science, you know. You can use genes from other animals to splice cosmetic elements into other animals, like scientists have created glowing rabbits and cats by introducing like jellyfish genes and stuff like that. That's all real, by the way. So it's an interesting thing to be just seeing in the game as well. Of course, you know, it's Jurassic World. It's all about genetics and the ethics behind it and stuff like that. So of course we're going to see stuff like that, and I love the focus on it. But yeah, let's get some Minmi along, going along. I've got a whole bunch of scientists that are just free to do it. We're going to pass forward, of course, and it shouldn't take very long at all. We've got 8 of them. I love that we have all perfectly fine. Because sometimes you get the red ones, which are like aggressive and they're a bit of a pain to work with. One thing I've done, by the way, as I've put in this little habitat here, which is actually meant to be... Like, you can airlift them straight away, but I love watching the exit animation, so we're going to do that. So let's watch them exit now. Oh, let me play normally, and yeah. My gosh, they are adorable. So cute. And that's actually...
I'm Dr. Kajal.
Forgot about this.
While you're keeping an eye on the dinosaurs, I'll be keeping an eye on you.
Okay, what's she gonna say? She's gonna say something.
Minmi is a relatively small, armoured herbivore from Cretaceous Australia. What sets this species apart from other members of its family are the horizontally orientated plates that run along the sides of its backbone. Hence the binomial name, Minmi paravertebra.
I do like that they give us like a few extra facts about the animals. I think that's super cool. And that's that adorable social animation where they're actually biting at each other's tails. What a super cute dinosaur. Loving the patterns, but let's get them all tranquilized so we can move them over into the actual habitat. Shouldn't take super long. But they're super cute. I love that they come in batches as well. There's some with the same pattern, which I really like. So there's this one with the really bright ones, which is, I think this is the only one with this coloration, but it looks really good. I love the teal coloration and the face. Wow, they're really doing the tranquilizing thing pretty fast. This is the first one we got, and this is also a really nice one. They're very turtley. I really like how they've done that, and it feels a very unique niche in the game when it comes to ankylosaurs. Because of course we do have small ankylosaurs, but we don't have anything quite like Minmi. Also, I know there's a whole thing about whether they call it Minmi or Minmi. I'm gonna call it Minmi. Sounds cuter. Sounds like it fits the animal a bit more. But yeah, let's move them over. And then we'll get the Wuerhosaurus on the way as well. I think they should be fine in this habitat. Though I might expand it as well in the future. It might be too small now that I think about it. But we'll see how they look in there. Okay, that's 2. But yeah, as far as my thoughts on the DLC goes, they really went like all out with the quality of these animals. They all have such great models and textures and colors. I think it's one of the best things, like in terms of quality of the creatures. I think it's probably easily one of the best things Frontier's ever put out for any of the Jurassic properties. Like The Chronosaurus looks fantastic. We've seen it plenty of times in the trailers and in the on their social media pages and stuff, and it really looks so good. And then, of course, with the two dinosaurs, Minmi we've just seen, looks really beautiful. But also the Wuerhosaurus, as we've seen, is a really great stegosaur, probably my favorite stegosaur in the game. And as far as the pterosaur goes, Sunguripterus, which we'll include in a future episode, same as the Chronosaurus, it's definitely very unique, and again, it becomes probably going to be one of my favorite pterosaurs. I have to see it for myself in game a bit more. But
full of wonder,
this
last park rating is a
Cabot, what are you talking? My God, I forgot about him.
I'm not saying it's you, but it's certainly
I gotta mute these guys at some point. But yeah, I forgot that I've still got like some non-sandbox options up and running, so I'll have to turn those off eventually. Have I moved all of them? Yes. Okay, let's get some Wuerhosaurus on the way. This is another one I'm super excited for. There we go. Oh, and so suddenly, what am I saying? We've finally got another dinosaur to take the Velociraptor out of that last section over there. So again, I really like the base pattern. I think Salada El Huasco is still a good one to keep. Though the others are pretty cool too, but I'm going to stay with Salada because it's a nice green, and you already know I love my green dinosaurs. We're going to try a different, we're going to still randomize the skin pattern. We're going to change up this, just to make sure no negative traits there. And then we'll get you on the way. So I hope that this isn't too boring of a way to do it. I like doing the speed build, and then after this, when we put in the dinosaurs, we can have a bit more of like a chill kind of chat and run through what we're doing. But yeah, DLC, fantastic, love it. But more so than that, the free update is really kind of like on point. You know, they've done a fantastic job with the DLC. Sorry, with the free update, and like with the amount of stuff we're getting, like all these buildings are like free to us. We have 5 brand new maps. The quality of life changes, like flat maps, color grading. Oh my gosh, such good stuff. Like, okay, so we're gonna wait until all these are moved over, and then we're gonna release the Wuerhosaurus. I think it shouldn't take too much longer, but we'll see how these guys are getting settled in a second. There you go. Cute little guy. We'll spend some more time with the dinosaurs once they're all fully moved in. I'm starting to regret putting the hatchery so far away from the actual park. I just thought, you know, control center makes sense to be at the edge of the cliff where planes can come in. But yeah, it's going to take a while for everyone to be shipped over properly. Once we get these 3 off the ground, we'll release the Wuerhosaurus and talk about them. But yeah, I'm having a really good time with Jurassic World Evolution 2. I've been enjoying it, of course. You will have seen the last video I put up will have been my new blog 2015 Sandbox. And that was a lot of fun to build. But now that we've got all these new maps, it's finally time, I think, to go for a really nice, in-depth build. But yeah, let's check out the Wuerhosaurus. Apologies if you still hear the helicopters because they're not far away. Let's see. So that is actually quite interesting.
While the parks have become famous for dinosaurs, it's not quite the way we'd want. Hopefully, working together, we can change that. Sorry, I meant to introduce myself. George Lambert, security specialist. Our challenges are many, so let's not waste any time.
Okay, come on, George, you're gonna say your thing?
Yep. Don't spend too much time looking at those plates. When it comes to the Wuerhosaurus, it pays to keep an eye on this animal's thagomizer. You don't want to be on the receiving end of a swing of that tail.
They're really such beautiful animals. I think easily my favorite stegosaur. But I know this is gonna take some time, but I actually don't really want any of these. Which is not great. I might just cut to the next like the next section where I'm actually going to hatch these again. But yeah, I'm just not that big a fan of these colors. But I've noticed, I think with this randomization system, I think it's really good because it seems you get like approximately 2 of each different color. So for example, we got 2 of the blank patterns, we got 2 of the brown ones, and one or two of the grey ones, which is a really cool way of doing it, I think. Because, of course, in a population of animals, you're not going to have every single animal have something that looks wildly different from the other. You'll have, like, clusters, like... And I think this is a great way of doing it. So I'm really glad it's not completely random. So that's really cool. So let's get these all shipped off, and I'm going to incubate another set. This time, I'm going to try different base skin. I think I'm going to try Great Sandy Desert, because that sounds pretty cool. And let's assign a bunch of scientists. So hopefully this will be done and done pretty quick. Yep, select eggs. No negative traits, brilliant. And let's get these guys on the way. And once... See, selling them is way faster than having them actually transported, which is unfortunate. Transport is the one which you really need that speed for. But yeah, let's have a look at these new ones. Ooh, okay, I'm liking this. Yeah, no, these are beautiful. Yeah, I really like this. Yeah, such an interesting creature. It's so different from the other stegosaurs because of the I think the main difference here is the head, because it has this really well-defined beak, which looks so good on a stegosaur like this. I think as well the pattern really stands out. And this one, like here, we've got a great selection, because then you have like two of these which are the same color. Could act as like males, can have some of the others be females or less mature males, for example. Just really, really cool. But yeah, great selection here. These are all going into that other habitat, so we'll get all of you tranquilized. I'll speed up time so you can tranquilize them and then move over. And then of course, once we're over there, we can hang out with Minmi as well. It's so fun watching them all in like double speed, because it's just really funny seeing them all gallop around. They should be plenty happy in that habitat. It's quite a decent size. And it's got all the nice little you know, terrain changes and rocks and stuff, which will be quite cool to see them kind of like navigate around. So let's just get them all over here, and then we can yeah, have a little hangout with them, you know. So I haven't named any of these dinosaurs, but I would like to, so please do let me know in the comments down below if you would like any of the dinosaurs named, and suggest a name for them. I remember I did have a couple people suggest in the previous episodes that they would like it. I remember Izzy wanted one, and Izzy's been a long time viewer of the channel, of course, always down in the comments, so thank you very much for all your support. And you wanted a dinosaur named after you, and let's give you, tell you what, I'll give you one of the Wuerhosaurus, because they're very cool. And then, of course, any of you, if you want a Wuerhosaurus or a Minmi or anything named, feel free to suggest that. I'll give this one. This will be Izzy. Brilliant. So there you go, Izzy. That's your Wuerhosaurus. And again, any of you want a dinosaur named, put that down in the comments. And while we're here, let's set up the Ranger patrols. So we can put this here. So for you, those of you who don't know, of course, Ranger patrols are something you have to do in this game now, so that Rangers can look after your dinosaurs. It's a system more meant for, like, you know, challenge mode and sandbox. But, sorry, it's more meant for challenge mode and campaign, but I think it's fine to do in sandbox as well. You don't have to, you can always just turn off the icons that show you that your dinosaurs need to be looked at, and it should work out fine. Okay, we'll quickly fast forward time, because there's still one more dinosaur to be moved over. I do not know where on earth these guests are going. Like, almost every building over there is like an operations building, you know, it's like... I think that's the hotel and the viewing towers that might be attracting them, but like, look at the track they're walking along. Like, they, just because there's a hotel over there, they're walking this distance across the entirety of Yosemite. Which I mean, could just be like a tourist thing. Like, who doesn't want to go on a hike around Yosemite? These guys at the forefront, they've been running. There's one staff member, I guess, but these four over here just took off, and they still got that distance to cover, so good luck to you guys, even in fast forward, so.
Confirming asset delivery.
Okay, so I think that should be everyone moved over. Yes, perfect. Okay, so let's spend some time with our dinosaurs. And there they are, the Wuerhosaurus. plodding through the water over there. These two are just rubbing up against each other, which is very nice. Really, really beautiful animals here. And yeah, just really, really cool animals. Let's see whether who do they get along with? So they actually get along with quite a lot of different animals. So we can put in some others here later on. There's the ranger vehicle coming to check in on them. Of course, they are at full comfort because it's Sandbox, but this is what they would require otherwise. We'd have some of that in here, like some ground fiber and stuff, but again, it's Sandbox, so I'm going to be primarily just focusing on the kind of the aesthetics. But yeah, it looks really, really cool here. I love them in this habitat. There's one right off to the side that we can't actually see, but if we go down here, like this is the guest view for one of these guys, which is pretty cool. They're not as big as the Stegosaurus, I don't think. They're kind of in between the Stegosaurus and the other small Stegosaurs like Kentrosaurus. So I think they're probably the second largest, but I'm not 100% on that. Over here, of course, let's have a look at the Minmi. They are so adorable. They're so tiny too that you can barely see them in the grass. They're quite, like I said, quite turtle-esque. And I love the patterning and the scoots. Really, really adorable. I think this might be my favorite patterning. There's one with the, oh, not that one, sorry. This one. There's the one with the blue on it, which looks cool, but I think this one is going to be my favorite. It looks really nice and earthy and like woody and grassy. You know, all the nice things, and so, so cute. Let's see where the others are. Are we going to see a social interaction between these two? We might. Let's see. They're going to hang out. Oh, there you go. Bro, don't do that. That's so cute. I love that. It's just like chomp. Honestly, if I was a Minmi, I'd be chomping. I'd be chomping on everyone. Like, why not, you know? Chomp your buddies. Don't take my advice. Do not chomp your buddies. But they're so cute. I really like them. And this is the nice teal one, which I like to imagine is like a dominant dominant leader of this group. Or it could be like a matriarch or something. Of course, we don't know what a lot of dinosaur social hierarchies were like. We just kind of have to base them off our understanding of modern animals. Of course, we can sometimes find them in big herds, like in big groups. Like I think fossils like Protoceratops and Maiasaur were discovered in huge numbers. So that implies they were in herds, maybe with a dominant like matriarch, for example. And then of course there's some where you might think of them in more of a harem type situation like modern primates, but it really varies, and we can't know 100% what their social structures were like, but it's still interesting to think about. I like when they go right up to each other like that. I don't know if that's like a social behavior or if they're just walking next to each other, but it's cool. But yeah, really lovely. I love these. They're so cool. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, leave suggestions for names of dinosaurs down in the comments. Leave suggestions for what else you want to see in Yosemite Biopark over here. I guess that's what we're going to call it. And as we go forward, of course, I'm willing to take as many suggestions as we can because it's a big park and we're going to spend a lot of time in here. And suggestions for what you want to see in it. Like, how do you want me to develop this park? Do you want to see interesting path work? Do you want to see more focus on amenities? It's all very much undecided yet, so yeah, feel free to leave suggestions. With that all being said, thanks so much for watching. Do like the video if you did like it. Do subscribe as well for more Jurassic World Evolution 2 content. And with all that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!